Hi Flosstube, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. It's been a long time coming, but I felt like it was time to film a life update and introduction video. I've got a lot going on stitching-wise, so I've got a lot to show you, but I wanted to start this off before I even get into what's going on in my life and everything with introducing you to somebody that's pretty key into my life. I've done a video with my mom before, so you've all met her and seen her kind of stitching influence. But this is my husband, Brandon. Brandon is probably the key to why I started stitching again. We've been married for 8.5 years. And when we got together, one of the things I did, he's very big into video games and nerdy stuff. Cue the Star Wars things, he's very big into that. And so when we first got together, one of the things that I did was I stitched him a little Mario Peach piece, and I found Sprite Stitch, and I got really into finding the old 8-bit video game things, and so it got me back sparked with stitching. And he's actually a fairly crafty person. He kind of stitches me under the table. Like, he's really good, he's really neat with his stitches, and so I wanted to take some time to A, show you him, B, let him talk, so I'll shut up in a minute, and have him show you some of the pieces that he's been doing. He's finished quite a few. He's forgotten about quite a bunch of them, but we just pulled them out. We have some hung up, some, like my stuff, is still just sitting ready to be framed. And he's actually going to be participating with me in Stitch Madness this year. So he's been going through and trying to gear up with what Stitch Madness is going to kind of be to him. Those of you that don't know Stitch Madness, I do it instead of Mania because March makes more sense than May to me. So last year I took 31 days and did 31 new starts. I'll talk about how my interpretation of Stitch Madness is going to be happening this year, but I'm excited to have him joining in. And his won't be the same kind of stitching as I'm gonna do. He does some stuff. He started,
well, a couple of mine are actual designers, but
yeah, like he's probably not gonna be starting 31 new things, but he's got like 22 right now that he's gonna be like kind of going into. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up. This is my husband Brandon. He's gonna talk for a little bit, and then I'll come back. I'll drink my coffee in my Mayhem mug.
She'll drink her coffee. So I actually started, well, my mom always cross-stitched growing up. But then I actually started stitching because we were at her parents' house, and that's what her and her mom were sitting there doing. And jokingly, I looked at them both. Well, half jokingly, was like, "All right, give me something. Might as well do what everyone else is doing." They laughed like she's doing now because they didn't think I was serious. And I was like, "No, I'm serious. Give me something. Show me what to do, and I'll do it." And so that's what they did. And of course, I mean, I'm sure as you know from her work, Jen loves Halloween. So my first finished piece ever was they brought me this tiny
Prairie Schooler, real designer. Yeah, and he did it. He got Ada out and he stitched. And guys, I don't know, like his stitches are really, really neat. And it's not focusing as nice. But this was his first piece that he did and shocked my mom and I. So back to him.
So that's what it did. And I mean, and being a gamer, like in video games and the old retro style, 8-bit lends itself very well to cross-stitching because it's essentially pixel for pixel. So I do a lot more video game related, more 8-bit, some cartoon stuff. One of my favorite games of all time is Legend of Zelda. So a finished actual frame piece that hangs out in my office is a shield from that particular game. This is, most of this, all of this is on Ada, just because that's what I started with. You have a couple of linen pieces here. I do have a couple of linen pieces, actually. One of my favorite books.
We go back and forth. We go, yeah.
I know there's a difference, but I don't care that there's a difference.
We talk about stitch count a lot, and 14 count being 28 count. We'll get there.
42, whatever. I don't know. My favorite book series of all time is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's the best 5-part trilogy ever. So obviously I had to do something from them. So you know what? Don't panic. And growing up as a child of the 80s, I did partake in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And currently probably my biggest finished piece is full coverage.
It's full coverage. And guys, we're going to do a show your back because holy cow, look at that. Like, that's amazing. Yeah.
So Donatello, favorite turtle, so obviously had to do him. More Legend of Zelda, iconic. This was my first non-white piece. Or you can just hold it.
Black Ada sucks.
It was terrible. But it had to be done because, I mean, there's a lot of these pieces where it does the cave as well, but meh. So, of course, it's dangerous to go alone.
Yeah. Tip for Black Ada, put a pillowcase on your lap. If you put something light on your lap underneath you, it's easier to see through the black.
And then I also have the turrets from the Portal series, 1 and 2, the lovely little turrets that have their own little personalities and whatnot.
These are words I don't even know.
Yeah, no,
I've stitched some things from Portal, but...
She has, and one of my projects for March is, well, finishing a Portal one that's been huge.
He also, these ones, these aren't 8-bit, but it's, I love robots.
It's robots. So this was done for her because she loves robots. So there's actually a couple of those. So there was this one that's not currently framed. Then there's...
We do have a frame for that one, though. We just haven't gotten it done yet. These are a little dusty. Sorry.
Yeah, because these are hanging up in our bedroom, actually. Is binary robot.
And look at the back stitching. I mean, he surprised me with this one. Like, it was a Valentine's Day gift. And then this next one is on linen. And he's a really neat stitcher.
It's just a binary heart still. Another one done, Halloween surprise from an actual designer.
Bent Creek.
I could not begin to remember that. And so I think this is actually like a 3-part series. They're all supposed to be in a house.
Yeah, they like stack.
So I did the little scientist duder. I have the silhouettes of Jamie and Adam from Mythbusters, because that's one of my favorite TV shows, because it makes science cool for a lot more people than just us nerds. And then last but not least, I have from the Metroid video game series, one of the titular characters, just kind of do not feed. What was neat about this one is there's actually, and I don't know if you can see it, you kind of can on the vine, there's like little white lines that's actually glow-in-the-dark floss. So when it's been exposed to light and glows, it glows like it would in the game.
It's a pain to stitch with.
I mean...
Tangles a lot.
It does tangle, but luckily it was just a little bit of back stitching. It wasn't like full-on stitches, so... But that's all I've currently got finished.
It is. He's got a few other things started, though. He's started the Skeleton Boat, the big pirate ship by Cross-Eyed Cricket. And he's attempting that on linen. We got him a piece of murky because that will look really cool on that. And I was like, you can do this on 36 count. No, we're not going to try that. So I rebought the murky in 32 count. We're going to try that. Yeah. If he's not comfortable with it, though, we'll go to Ada or find something else. He's also one of the pieces I stitch. I don't think I've ever showed it on here. I tend to lean more towards my cross-stitch designers than the 8-bit stuff I've done. But one of the first pieces I finished for him was Light World Map, the Zelda map. And it's huge, full coverage. I don't do full coverage like all the people on here that do it with parking and that kind of stuff. I don't do that. But I finished that, so he was going to do Dark World. So that's another one of the pieces that he's kind of got going. So he's got some like really, really big stuff that he's going to be working on. So I'm really excited that it's kind of given us something that we can be doing together, something that, we have a lot of the same hobbies. You see, if you follow me on Instagram, we're very big into board gaming. We're nerds. Like, we play computer games. We do that kind of stuff. And that's who we are. But it's neat that he's kind of got this part of me too, like it is. So this is my husband. We now live in Ohio, figuring out life here. We've done a couple outtakes, so I don't remember what I talked about on this one and the one I started before this. But we're here. We sold our house in Pennsylvania. goodness, it sold. Our friend actually bought it, which is awesome. He used to watch my videos, so Joe, if you're watching, hi. But hope it all is well in your house, not my house anymore. But we're staying with my parents for a while. They have been incredibly gracious to us and are letting us kind of figure out what we want to do with our lives and where we want to be. We knew that being out here meant being closer to them, so they actually have a basement apartment, and it's square footage wise bigger than our house was. So we are, it's nice we have our space. We're still kind of trying to figure that all out, like what it means to live so close to them and how our lives are our lives and not, I don't know. It's different. It's great. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that's impacted my stitching life, because, it's been really fun to have my mom so close and stitch with her. But it's also cool because it's kind of given them a common bond, more than just us teaching them board games every day, because that happens too. So this is Brandon. You'll be seeing more of him, but I wanted to introduce you.
Bye.
So he's going to leave now, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I've been doing and fill you in on some of the stuff I've got coming up. So he's going to move his stuff off. I'm sure you can hear Watson. I don't know if you can see or I'll see. That's Watson behind me. Watson, say hi. I can't. There's a chair in the way now. That's my puppy. She's a Dachshund Corgi mix. She's going to find Brandon. So all of our animals are settled here. It's been, pretty great to kind of have them acclimate so well. Wasn't expecting it. Behind Watson, you'll see, is kind of my makeshift crafting area right now. I mentioned that we're downstairs from my parents. We're very close. Like, they always have been very, very close with both of my parents. My mom has all of her stitching stuff and her framing stuff. She moved out of Brandon's office because he's working from home right now. So we've kind of had to reacclimate her stitching stuff too, and it got her sparked back into stitching. So I've been a good influence, maybe, not sure. She might think otherwise, but I'm rambling. I lost my train of thought since Brandon left. So my hair is a mess. It's too long, guys. Too long, too gray. Moving, more gray hairs, lots. So what do I have going on? Well, I failed miserably on my 365 days of cross stitch plan. I went really strong. I really did. But with getting moved and everything that was going on at home, it needed to stop, because honestly, I wouldn't pack. I was just like, I've got to stitch. So I stopped, and honestly, I kind of lost my bug. Like, I was not, just wasn't there. And then we got here and life was really busy, and I was knitting a lot, but I wasn't really stitching at all. And it wasn't until, I don't know, my mom and I pulled out His Eyes on the Sparrow, because we're doing that together. And so we'd pulled that out a couple times, and I had pulled out Map of Hawk Run Hollow, because I was like, okay, I'll do. But nothing was really kind of pulling me. And it wasn't until Farm Girl announced the Stitch9 Challenge that it really got me back. And it caused me to go through my stitching stuff and decide what I really wanted to do. So I went into last year, I finished 19 projects. I was going to go through and see how many I framed, or I didn't frame, my mom framed, but I didn't. But 19 is my biggest amount that I finished. So I was pretty proud of that. But I also might have finished 19, but I came into the year with 26 whips. I have this little calendar book. These are great. I get them at TJ Maxx. They're fantastic. And so I record at the beginning of the year. You can see all of my work. This is the front page. All of my work's in progress. And I have them down, and I try to record the date I started them, the date that, and each one has a little box next to it, and I have a key up top. So if it's blank, it means that it's just a work in progress at the year. If it has a line through it, it means that I've worked on it during this year. If it has an X through it, it means that I completed it during the year. And if it has a little, if it's all filled in, it means I said, I'm done. And I'm going to be honest, I'm doing that with several of them this year. I've not abandoned any works in progress, probably ever. I keep them because I'm like, oh, well, maybe one day I want to finish that. Village of Hawkrun was one that I abandoned. And my biggest one that I've officially abandoned because I cut it up. I said goodbye to Life After Death, or Death by Cross Stitch. It just, those of you that know, I was trying to do it with my grandma's old threads that I found, her floss, as like kind of a memory to her, because I loved Emily's Eclectic Possessions. I love her color version of it that she's doing. But honestly, all this did was show me that I'm not Emily. And I was never going to be happy with the way that I was pulling the colors together. Because I just don't see color like that. So I decided this isn't the right way for me to use that floss. I'm gonna find something else. And honestly, if I'm looking at a long dog piece, Life After Death is the one I want to stitch because it's got a whale in it, and I have this thing with whales right now. So I've abandoned it. So that took me, I think, to 25 works in progress. I have another one or two in my basket that I'm thinking they're just going to go by the wayside too. But I'll get there. I haven't officially like cut them up yet. And I got there with this one because I started planning madness. Guys, I'm nuts. I'm insane, okay? So I have 26, 25, whatever it is, works in progress. And March 1st, I am starting 31 more. And I'm going big this year, guys. There's some really big ones in there that are never going to be finished. Like, it's just... But I figure then they're started. And I'm always going to come back to cross-stitching. Even if I take breaks from it, it's going to be a thing that I do because it brings me happiness. And it's a way that I calm, and it's a way that I like to express myself. I think one of the reasons why I stopped was because we didn't have a house. And so the thought of stitching for a future place is different. Like, not that I'm not like my mom. My mom will, when she's planning a piece, know what frame she's going to put it in, know where it's going to go on the wall when she stitches. And I'm not that person, but not having any idea what we're going to be walking into, the style of house we're going to get, any of that kind of crimped me. Like, I was just like, I really want an old farmhouse. That makes sense for me to stitch farms. If I don't get an old farmhouse, does it make sense? And it does, because I love farms. So it doesn't really matter if we get an old farmhouse or not. So I'm stitching, always going to stitch 31 projects, going big. I am following the same rules I did last year. 31 projects, 31 different designers. I will start a project on a day, and I will not stitch on anything else during that day unless I finish that project. And then I can go back and work on something else that I've got going on. We'll see if I finish any of these. I don't know. I started the 31 last year, and actually I can tell you, if you give me a minute, I should have had this queued up before. I started the 31 last year, and I finished 14 of them during the year. So I don't know why there was a red thing. I hope it didn't mess up when I was filming. I do at some point want to show you guys how I organize all my patterns. Today's not that day, but if you're interested, if that's something that people would like to know about, I would love to talk organization because I'm a little crazy about it. But yeah, so I have everything kind of organized on my computer and in lists and everywhere. Files and tags and all sorts of stuff. So Stitch Madness is coming back. Excited that I'm going to be doing it again. But back to Stitch 9 because my head is everywhere today, guys. I still have something really big to talk about and I'm not there yet. Keep watching. So I'm doing Stitch 9. And I went through my basket and I tried to pick 9 projects that would be feasible for me to finish, knowing that I'm really from Ohio already, knowing that I was going to also want to be starting Stitch Madness and getting some other things that I wasn't just committing myself to only stitching on these 9 projects. So I'm going to go through the ones that I haven't worked on yet, and then we'll get into works in progress and then a couple finishes that I've had already this year. One of the ones I'd like to finish, it's this clock piece. It was from CrossStitcher magazine. It's the clock pillow, but I don't think I'll finish it as a pillow. I miss my clock ball behind me. Those of you that have watched before know that I have all my clocks and none of them are running. But that's this piece. I don't have a tremendous amount more to go on it. I've made some mistakes. I've started this years and years and years ago. And I probably, if I was stitching it again, I would make some like color changes. I wouldn't probably do the red, the 666, because it's not really my red. But I'm gonna stick with it. I don't love the fabric. I think it was just an old piece of 28 scrap that my mom had given me when she used to kit up my projects. So I'm gonna finish it though. It's got to be done. I would love to have it framed and on my clock wall when I have that again. This next one was a Stitch Madness start last year. It is the Quaker Fox by Workbasket. I love foxes. This one too, I'm not loving the fabric, and I may actually restart him. I had planned to do Halloweenies 1/1 on this fabric by Plum Street, and I didn't. And so I had started the Quaker Fox and I didn't like the fabric he was on. So I decided I would repurpose this for him and just do normal 28 count. But he's really big. And I feel like he could be a really cute little one. So I'm thinking maybe I need to start him over. I don't know. I might give it a little bit more, stitch a little bit more on him, and then decide if I'm just starting over. I don't have that much done on him, so... And he's not a huge project, so it won't be the end of the world. There's a glare. I don't think I really have a... I don't have the original pattern for this with me. I have all my... Everything gets messed up. It's all over the place. I have spent so many hours organizing floss and DMC and specialty threads, getting ready for madness. Like, guys, it's insane. There are so... you should have seen me at Joann's. Like, I still have so much of it to, like, get into the pre-cut things that I do with my floss. These binders here, those 3 binders, that's what I store all my DMC in. Organizational day filming, I'll talk all about that. Anyway, next Stitch 9 thing that I'm going to finish is And Rudolf. By Lottie Da. I am doing this one on a 35 count mink by R&R Reproductions. I think I've stitched on it once or twice since Stitch Madness, but not very much. That should be an easy finish too. Also wanted to finish the Needlework ABCs by Little House. I want to have in my someday stitching room stitching stuff up on the walls, so eventually. Not very far on this. I think I'm doing this, I think it's a 36 count Country Mocha. I don't love the fabric. It's okay. I'm using specialty threads for that, called for. Another one, and I have, this is, you know, getting into my works in progress for the year. I have the Red and the Black. Oh, I was showing the pattern first. Red and the Black 2 by Prairie Moon. Prairie Moon is the designer that also, like, after I stitched my 8-bit stuff for Brandon, we went to this little cross-stitch store in Waynesboro, Virginia. CrossStitch Station or something like that. It's the cutest little store. And the first piece that I bought at a CrossStitch store again was Prairie Moon Merry Christmas with skeletons and the dog. Love it. Haven't stitched it yet. It's the piece that got me back into stitching, and I still haven't stitched it. I have not found the right fabric for it, I don't think. So eventually it'll get stitched. But I was like, hey, there's designers that are doing like skeletons. Like, this is cool. So Prairie Moon, I have stitched the red and the black. I did that on a 16 count Aida. And so for the longest time, I thought when I was doing this one, I should do it on the same fabric. And I was like, I don't want to stitch on Aida. Not that there's anything wrong with stitching on Aida. I have pieces that I like on Aida over linen, but I am much more comfortable, and I think it's easier on my fingers when I stitch on linen. I think I've told you guys before, if you're new, I am an in-hand stitcher. I don't use Q-snaps, I don't use hoops, I don't use a scroll. I stitch in hand and I roll my linen as I go. So I use the sewing method a lot. And so I feel like with Aida, I end up having to punch and stab, and I don't love it. So red and the black too. I'm doing this on a 36 count pair by Lakeside Linen. And right now I'm using DMC 310. I don't know what my accent color is going to be. When I did the other one, I think I changed it to a orange. I think orange. So it was like kind of folly. I don't know. I don't know what I just haven't decided. I'll decide before the end of the year because it's on my Stitch 9 and it's got to get finished. Yeah. This piece I love. A couple other people are stitching it now. Riley Harbor by Kathy Barrick. The whale. This whale. I'm telling you. I don't know if any of you have ever heard the song The Mariner's Revenge by the Decemberists. It's a horrible song about some guy getting revenge on a terrible guy that did his mom wrong, and they end up getting eaten by a whale. And this just, it looks like the village that they would live in. And so I really want to, I want a line from the song to go underneath here. The lyrics aren't very nice because it's about getting revenge on somebody that was terrible to your mother and scratching their fingernails off. It's just bad, but I love it, and it's very, I think it's a happy song. Must be the carnival music that it plays with. But hi, Decemberists. But I just feel like this piece is them. So I think that's what spoke to me. Also, I do theme stitching, but I am not a summer person whatsoever. I don't like summer. I don't like spring because I don't like pastel colors. And so I never know what to do with my walls in the spring and summer because I stitch a lot of Halloween and I stitch a lot of Christmas because I like Christmas and I like winter. So I've decided I think whales and probably bees are going to be my summer thing and spring. Because I'm not real nautical either, but whales are key now. So this is where I am on Riley Harbor. I did make a couple changes. One of the boats is in the wrong place. I think it's a stitch off or something, but it's 40 count. So it's 40 count exemplar, I think is what I'm doing this on. I changed, this house is charted to be in the same gray that the whale is in. And I really want the whale to pop. And I'm using the Gloriana silk to do the whale. Everything else is just DMC. So I subbed it, and I think I'm using 3023. If that's not gray, I'm not using it, but I think that's what I'm using. And I love this village. It's just, it's happiness to me. Because happiness is getting revenge on your mom's killer? I don't know. Lately this week, I have been working on Jenny Bean's Halloween Sampler by Shakespeare's Peddler. Sorry, I didn't take it out of the bag. I love this piece, and I started it at Stitch Madness, and I stopped. I only stitched on it one day until I repicked it up this week. And I stopped because I was going to have to leave the N with the name that says Jen in the corner, Jenny in the corner, and it was going to say Jen with two N's. My name's Jen, and it's only one N, so I wouldn't, I cut the thread, and I wouldn't finish it. But I love this. I'm doing this with the called for, there's two called for floss things. One's with a specialty, like a limited edition set of floss, and I didn't have that. So I went with the other overdyed stuff. And I'm really liking it. My only toughness with it is, well, a couple things. The pattern was really little. I had to make an enlarged working copy. I'd use working copies because I am brutal to things, and my animals are brutal. But the symbols are, there's an 8 and there's a B, and the 8 is like this one and the B is like that one, and so they're really close, and it was really tiny, and it was really hard to tell what I was supposed to be stitching. It made my eyes feel very, very old. But it's better now, and I've kind of figured out and gotten the flow of it. So I'm loving that. I did not get enough of the black border for the border. And so there's a whole section of writing here in the bottom that I don't want to start because I wanted the border to, I'm normally not a border stitcher. I normally wait till the end to do my border, but it's Black Crow by Gentle Arts, and it's got like this, you can't see it here, but it reminds me of when I used to dye my hair black, because the box blacks, if you like, there were some that had like this blue hint to them. Well, that's this black, and I love it, but I wanted to make sure that the next skein I get also has like the same tint. So I wanted the border to at least be all done in the same. So I'm gonna finish the border. I think I might have enough to finish the border. I don't know. Hopefully. And then I will move on to the rest of the black that's in there. So I stitched border all day today, and I was kind of grumpy. I don't love borders. And I'm terrified it's not going to match up. You all know how that goes. Okay, finishes, because I have finished a couple things. I finished Isabella Black, Miss Isabelle. I kept saying Isabella. It's not an A. Isabelle Black by Scattered Seed Samplers. A couple of people on Instagram told me that Sir William Black is also out now, and I bought him. I just think she's adorable. I don't do a whole lot of like the animal head things, but I loved her. I just think she's, I don't know, she's so proper. So I finished her. I did her on a 40 count legacy by Picture This Plus, and I think it works really well. I kind of messed up with my name. I don't love the placement of my letters, but it's done. And my other Stitch 9 finish, which I think this should be 9, hopefully I haven't messed that up, was Halloween Eve by Blackbird Designs. I've had this piece forever, and I bought the linen for it, and it's on Confederate Gray by Weeks Dye Works. Which I don't love Weeks Dye Works linen. I think I've had this discussion before, but I love the Confederate Gray, so I think I mentioned my mug before. If Mayhem was a figure, like an animal with a like figurine like my cat, this would be Mayhem. Annoying hipster cat. It'd be her. Halloween Eve though. I had it forever. Getting distracted because I keep seeing the time counting up, and I like to keep these to half an hour, but I still have a lot to talk about. Had it for forever, and if you've known anything by Blackbird, they will, I'm very new into the overdyed flosses. My mom stitches pretty much predominantly with DMC, and that's what I was comfortable with for a really long time, mostly because of our finishing techniques, and she does my finishing, and the not being able to get stuff wet is just different, and terrifies me that we'll forget, and then it'll run, and then I thought I frame half the stuff I finishing. My hair is really annoying me, guys. And so I had it pulled with all the DMC, but a lot of it was where you'd have to take one strand of one color and one strand of another in order to make it blend. And I love the pumpkin on the pattern color cover, the way that it was done with the called for colors. So I held out, and I went to the specialty floss for it, and I'm so glad that I did. This is like the longest piece ever, and I'm sorry guys, I know some of you are so good about like ironing all your stuff before you show it. I'm just not, because irons and post office are intimidating to me. But look at those colors. Like, I guess I could just the pumpkin is, this whole backwardsness. I'm really having a tough time. There we go. It's beautiful, and they just pop. And the bird, I love him. I do not, when I'm doing specialty floss, for the most part, I do not, or over dyed, whatever it is. I'm still new to this, guys. I'm been stitching for years, but I still don't know the terms for things. I don't do one stitch at a time. Sometimes I feel like it makes it look too blotchy and too stark of the color change differences. So I did him just, all the way. And I like the kind of tweedy effect that it gave. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. My mom helped me do the Jen down at the bottom. Decided with Jen instead of the initials. 1N. So that's stitch 9. So 2 out of 9 are done. I think I can do it. I think I'll get there. I'm enjoying my stitching time right now. My mom and I are, I stitch upstairs. I really love our space down here, but we haven't kind of figured out a stitchy spot. And it's nice to have a stitching buddy. I mean, Brandon's been great, but his stamina doesn't go quite as long as my mom and I's does. Speaking of which, earlier this year, Brandon did this thing where he did a 24 hours of gaming for charity. And it got me thinking, he can sit at his computer and play video games for 24 hours straight. Could I cross-stitch for 24 hours straight? I don't know. And if I could, how much could I finish? So, casually one morning over coffee, I said to my mom, hey, what do you think of trying 24 hours of cross-stitch? And she goes, I think we could do that. Okay. So I say this as I'm getting all of my 31 projects ready for March. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I've got 24, 25, 26, however many works in progress I have right now going. Every hour, I'll just pick a different work in progress and I'll do it. Guys, that would be way too easy for me. It wouldn't be enough of a challenge. So, here's what I'm doing. 24 hours of cross stitch. My mom and I are going to start this Friday around 4, I think. We are going to be watching 24 because we need something that's going to keep our minds engaged and not have to pay super close attention because, and we've seen it, and 24. So, we're going to be watching that. So, 4 o'clock we're going to start. Going to put on a show. I have gathered 24. I've actually gathered 30 because insane. 24 little projects because I love how everybody now has all these little things that are in their little dough bowls and tchotchke little pillows and things like that. And I never start them because I start huge projects. And because of the way I do Stitch Madness, where it's one designer at a time, I am not gonna start little things then. Like I'm starting my next big piece by every designer that is in my wish list. So I never give myself time to start these little things. So I'm gonna be starting on the hour, 4 o'clock. I'm gonna start with number 1, whatever it is. And I have a whole basket. See that basket? That one right there. It's full of 30 projects. Has the floss, has the fabric, and I'm going to start and I'm going to stitch while the episode is going because we know that if we're streaming it, it's not going to have commercials. So that should give me about 45 minutes to stitch on something. And then I'm going to take a picture for you to show my progress. So I'll be posting at the end of each hour on Instagram. I will take with the picture of the progress of what I've done. I'll also show you the pattern that I'm going to start for the next hour. And I will film a short blurb. I'm not going to post them right away. We'll have Brandon, he's my editor. He'll get it all together once we're done, and sometime that weekend we'll get it up. But I'm going to be starting 24 projects on Friday because I'm crazy. Anybody who wants to stitch with me, join in. But my mom's going to do it too. Brandon is doing Stitch Madness. He's not going to join in on this insanity. He thought about it. And we were talking about everything, guys. We were like, how can we live stream this? What can we do? I'm not ready to live stream. This is too nerve-wracking just to do this. So that's not happening. But I want to include you. We're going to be posting it on Instagram. We're going to do the hashtag. I looked today, there's nothing on it. 24 hours of cross stitch. So we're super excited. My mom is not going quite the same route as I'm going. She felt like it was too much like Stitch Madness, where she would end the 24 hours with all these starts, which I probably will. But I have no idea how much stitching I can accomplish in an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it's going to be. But the pieces that I chose are about there. I wouldn't let the stitch count be higher than 100 by something. Like, it had to be double digits. I think there's a couple that have one side that's like 100 or 109 or something. But so I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's feasible to think that I might come away from this with actual finishes. We'll see. And then I saw last weekend there were a lot of people that were doing the 24 hours of reading, but it was 24 and 48. And then, you know, it gives you time to sleep and time to like recoup. But I don't know, we just kind of got into this 24 hours. And like, since we're doing the show, I mean, if it doesn't happen, it's not like it really matters. But it's a challenge. It's something to look forward to. So that's happening Friday. And the reason we're starting it Friday afternoon, what my mom's doing. So my mom felt like starting a new thing every hour on the hour was too much. She's going to be posting progress tags as well. She's on Instagram. Her handle on there is Leescin, Leescin. Her name is Cindy. His name is Lee. So it's, you know, cute little clever little play on words. But that's my mom. So she'll be posting her progress pics too. Again, we'll be using the hashtag 24 hours of cross stitch. And love to share with you guys what we're doing. But she's going to see how much she can finish. So she's been going through. Those of you that have seen our video know that my mom's been a stitcher for years. She had a shop. I'm twirling a pen and it's making a squeaking noise. I'm sorry. And so she's got all these like old kits and things that either came with the fabric or the embellishments or something. So aside from the project that she's starting with, because it's more just apropos, lends itself well to 24 hours of stitching, she's going to be sticking to just kits that she has. And she's going to just see how many she can knock out in the 24 hours. So that's what I've got in works. We're starting it later on Friday because Craft Gallery in Findlay is having their Super Bowl Sunday sale. And I still need some fabric for Stitch Madness. I have a couple big pieces that I want, like, I don't know what I want. So they're having their sale, so we figure we'll go out there and see what's happening and what we can get, and hopefully not walk away with anything that I'm just dying to start, because guys, there's 24 of those and 31 in March, and that's a lot, you know. I'm excited. I want to beat 19 finishes for the year. We'll see. The other thing that I've got going is my birthday month is February. It's February 22nd. So I decided this year that I wanted to do a birthday start. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I have loved Matter's Choice by Carriage House for a really long time. And I know it's been stitched by probably everyone on the planet at this point. But I love it. And I ordered, just kind of haphazardly, this piece of antique gold, vintage antique gold, by Lakeside Linens. And it's the lighting down here will not do it justice, but it is beautiful. And so I'm going to start that one on the 22nd and just have a birthday start this year, because I've never actually done that. So if anybody that, you know, everybody and their mother has stitched it, but if anybody else would like to join in, I'd love to have some people stitching that with me. You know, it'd just be fun. Stitch with me. Also, I wanted to say thank you, because I'm a terrible person and never got it posted on Instagram. So hold on, you're gonna see me. I'm in my pajamas because I don't need to get dressed. I wanted to say thank you. Pretty Southern, you're awesome. I got this in the mail when I moved to Ohio. It is my first ever project pack, and it's all beer related because she knows that I like beer and wine. It's beautiful. So thank you. so much for thinking of me. I love it, and I'm so excited. I think my birthday start is going to go in it. So, thanks. Thanks to all you guys that keep encouraging me to film. This community has always been so uplifting and so welcoming. This move has been tough. I love being closer to my parents. And they have been amazing and continue to be amazing with us, staying with them and just embracing the fact that I'm around all the time. My poor father. Like, I mean, my mom gets me, you know. My dad, he just has to put up with me, and he's kind of lost my mom. Poor Brandon, because it's a good thing he's stitching, because we need things to do together. But it's been hard. It's been hard to leave our friends and our life in Pennsylvania. So I want to thank you guys for kind of providing that stability in a community that I don't have right now. It'll get there. It's really hard in the winter to meet people. So I'm hoping once, you know, the thaw happens, because it's what, negative 30,000 degrees here today. And anytime we like try to like get established in a church or do something like that, it snows. So I'm just like, well, forget that. It's not happening. But it will eventually. But it's been challenging, and it's now trying to find routines and get myself back acclimated with cooking and like, you know, gray hairs, pounds added, you know, just it's hard. But we'll get there. And, you know, I know there have been other people that have talked about winter months just being hard and being draining, and just self-care is important, guys. And I think that's one thing that all of us kind of use cross-stitch as, is taking time to breathe and to step away from the craziness that life can bring, and just, at least that's what cross-stitch is to me. I hope it's what it is to you. So that's what's going on in my life. I'm glad that I took the time to sit down and talk to you guys. I will be back Friday at 4. Look for the Instagrams. I'll be blowing up your feed. I'm sorry. You can block me for the day if you want. And then be looking, because again, every hour on the hour I'll do a little, this is what I stitched. You'll get to see me in all my glory. I'll definitely be in my pajamas that day. There will not be makeup on. Yeah, you'll get to see me in all my disheveledness. Sorry. But anyway, keep stitching. I don't remember ever how I finished these things. But, yeah.